And since we heard that this is now Rosh Chodesh, so let's begin with a thought about this month. We're taught that every month has a sense to it. It's a very important, actually a crucial concern in education. And every child and every adult, in order to be able to realize his purpose in life and to make his contribution to the world, has to manifest, first has to become conscious of, and then manifest and develop his unique sense, Chosh. There are 12 of them. Each one corresponds to one of the 12 tribes of Israel. The word Chosh, sense, is also related to the word Chosh in the breastplate of the high priest. Today, we're still in the yortzeit of the high priest. Aaron HaKohen, his yortzeit is today. It's the only yortzeit which is explicitly stated in the Torah. We read just the day before yesterday on Shabbat the verse that states his passing of Moshe Rabbeinu's older brother Aaron on the first day of the 5th month, which means today. And one of his 8 special clothings, maybe the most magnificent of his clothings, was the breastplate. It had 12 precious stones, each one corresponded to one of the tribes, each one had its color to it, and each one had its spiritual property to it, and these properties are referred to as Choshim. But the word, once more, Choshe, the breastplate, is from the same 2-letter root in Hebrew as Chosh, which means a sense, an inner sense of the soul. The months of the year also correspond to the 12 tribes, in the order that the camps traveled in the desert, not in the order of the birth. This is the way the Arizal makes the correspondence between the tribes and the months, meaning that the first month, which is Nisan, is Yehuda, Judah, and the second is Yisachar, and the third is Zvulun. That's called Degel Machane Yehuda, the camp of Judah, and then comes the camp of Reuven, which includes, for the 4th month of Tammuz, Reuven. And now, today, we just entered the 5th month, which is the month of Shimon. And the 2 tribes, which are actually the first 2 tribes to be born to Yaakov, or Reuven and Shimon, and it's explicit, it's obvious what their senses are, because Reuven means sight and Shimon means hearing. So again, in the Torah, they're not just the 5 common senses, there are 12 senses. But these 2 are the most obvious, meaning that we're just leaving the sense of sight and entering the sense of hearing. And these 2 senses, this is the period, as we heard just before, the period of the destruction of the temple, but a period definitely that if we rectify Ahavat Yisrael, Ahavat Chinam, but especially these 2 senses, with emphasis on these 2 senses of the soul, this is a way to reconstruct the temple, our physical temple and our spiritual. The heart of every Jew is his spiritual temple. So clearly, hearing is more connected to communication even than sight. The sense which is most connected to communication, of course, is speech. It's one of the 12 senses. The first is the first and foremost. All the senses of the soul follow speech. In Hebrew, speech it also means leadership. That's why the sense of speech is the sense of Judah, who is the leader of the Jewish people, the king of the Jewish people. So his sense is speech. Ba'asher dvar melech shilton, says that the king rules by his words, by his speech. So there's a very, very beautiful relationship between the 1st month of the year and the 5th month of the year. Because in communication, there's one speaker and one listener. So the speaker is is Nisan, and the listener is Shimon. And if they connect and couple, that's what this R137 is called, a coupling constant. It controls interactions in the quantum world. So the coupling of communication is definitely between the speaker and the hearer, which in the months is between Nisan and Av. They also possess a common name, because the Torah name for the month of Nisan, the first month, is Chodesh HaAviv. But Aviv is just like Av. It starts with the same two letters. So the names of the months are also very, very strongly relate to one another. When the tribes entered the land of Israel, the tribe of Shimon took its portion in the land within the general portion of Judah. But the listener was part of the speaker in the inheritance of the land of Israel. Another thing Chazal tell us, that Shimon, all of the school teachers in the Jewish school system, they all came from the tribe of Shimon. It means that to be a school teacher, you have to have a very well-developed ear to be able to hear everyone, every student, every parent. And developing one's ear is this month of Av. What happened on this month? But the bad thing that happened. So the reason for the very first reason for the destruction is because we heard the Lashon Hara, the evil tongue of the spies that came back and reported that the land of Israel is really a beautiful and the greatest land, but the people there are so big and so strong, that so powerful, that there's no chance on earth that we'll be able to conquer those people. So it says that when the spies gave this evil report, that the evil report was that it's actually just a statement of disbelief in God, in Moses, in the promise that we will enter this land and inherit this land. But they received that Lashon Hara, and they cried on that night. And then Hashem says that you cried for no good reason. Just like Sinat Chinam. Sinat Chinam means that hatred for no reason. The other person didn't do anything bad to me. There's no reason for me to hate him. But some people have a very bad character trait that they hate without reason. So here also there was crying without any good reason, without any justifiable reason. And so God says that you cried for nothing, and I'm going to make this day a day of crying until Mashiach comes, and it will once more be transformed, because it has the power of transformation. Tisha B'Av. It has so great power of transformation that the Chazal, the sages say that Mashiach himself is born on that very day, on the day of Tisha B'Av. So this was just to relate the Chiyot im Hazman. We always try to relate topics that we discussed in the Torah to the time, either to Parashat Shavua, to the month, or the holiday. The first thing that is written here on the first line on the board are three very simple concepts, which are Ratzon, Machshava, Dibur. Ratzon in Hebrew is will, the power of will. Machshava is thought, and Dibur is speech. We just now said that communication is speaking and hearing. The word speech can actually refer to all of these. Any form or any channel of communication can be referred to as speech. But we're taught in Kabbalah that there are three ways to communicate. This is going to be our first topic this evening. That it's possible for me to send, like now in our modern technology, I want to send you a message. Sending you a message is communication, is speaking. So how do I send you a message? There are three possible channels or ways, or we'll call them even powers, to send you a message. I can send you a